spaced out. We have no idea what to expect this weekend, and so the student ministry building might be a little bit of overflow if we need it, which is really cool. But the main reason we're in here tonight is because Encounter is happening live for the first time in months, and they are taking up tons of space in our main building. They are in the worship center and the fireside room spread out. They have a ton of groups, and God has just blessed this ministry so much. It started out with really one group, and it now spawned into a bunch of different groups. So there's a support group for people suffering from addictions, family and friends of addicts. There's a grief group and an anxiety group and a cancer support group. There's a veterans group. And so if you're looking for a place to maybe find some healing and grow with some of the people who might be dealing with some of the things that you're dealing with, Encounter is the place for you. They're meeting right now. They meet on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock, and they're actually going to continue to do some online meetings. And so you can find more information about that on our website. But a great ministry. Just wanted to check and see who is logging in and saying hi. I'm super pumped to be hanging out with you guys tonight. Michael is actually on vacation today, and so he is in an undisclosed location having a good time. And so, hey, Chrissy, good to see you. Linda, Jessica, I'm hanging out with your husband tonight. Mike, good to see you, brother. Shelby, awesome to see you on here too. Mark, what's up, man? Mark's going to be playing guitar this Sunday, so I'm super excited to see him back serving in his normal role. Hey, Rebecca, good to see you. Man, tons of people are jumping on. This is super cool. It has been really fun to get to see people online for the last few months, but I cannot wait to actually see some people in person, give some air high fives, stay 6 feet apart and hear a ton of stories about what God's been doing in your life. And so Sunday morning, this Sunday, we are regathering at our old normal times. So if you can't remember what those were, 9:30, 11:15, we'll be having 2 worship services. And things are going to be a little different. We aren't exactly sure what to expect and who's all going to come back, but we can tell you that the building is absolutely clean. Every service has been touched. Volunteers are ready to go. Some adjustments have been made to the service to make everything smooth and perfect, and we cannot wait to get in that room and worship together. We could really use your help in a couple ways. One is in parking. A lot of you guys already park across the street and ride a shuttle over. Well, because of COVID, we can't use any of the shuttles right now. So if you're able and can park across the street and walk over, we think it's going to be a beautiful day. So do that. That would be a huge help. It'd open up some spaces for people. We know a ton of people have actually checked out SC Online for the very first time, have never been to a service in person. And so we want to make as much room for them to come and worship with us and have a really great experience. So give up your spot in our parking lot, park across the street over at Hemwin Plaza, make your walk over, enjoy the sunshine. When you make your way in, we're going to have volunteers to actually help you find a seat because we're going to cram in as many people as we can safely. And when you get in, it's going to be awesome because we've removed half of the chairs. So you have the most legroom you've ever had in church. It is like first class, every row, absolutely amazing. And so we cannot wait to see you. Dave, I'm really looking forward to seeing you, buddy. How's the recovery going? Hope you're healing up well. Jeff, can't wait to see you. Really looking forward to hanging out with that dude. Jessica, thank you for mentioning my shirt looks good. Yesterday, I went the entire day with my shirt on inside out. It was just one of those days. So I don't know what your day was like, but that was mine. And so I'm happy that my shirt is on the right way. And yeah, it's been quite the week. So I cannot wait for Sunday. What else? Hey, kids are not going to be meeting this week, but they're going to start next week. So this is a great chance for your family to come worship together. If you've never done that, man, that's a great experience. And so I want to invite you to do that and bring your kiddos. They can sit with you. Some of you guys, though, you know, man, you're really trying to be safe and protect yourself. And we want to encourage you that if you're in that kind of vulnerable population and you know who you are, or your family members are close with somebody who's in that vulnerable population, continue worship with us at SE Online. It's a great way to stay connected to the family. It's a powerful service that you can do right in the comfort of your own home where you can continue to stay safe as we start this regathering process together as a church family. And so, super excited about that. The service is going to be a little different. We're not going to be taking communion together, so I want to give you a heads up. But I really want you to see it as an opportunity. You know, a lot of times in a service we take communion, it's kind of almost a really personal, private moment. But this is a chance for you and your family to really make it a family moment. And so we want to encourage you, when you leave the service tomorrow, whether you go to lunch or you go back to your house, to gather together as a family and take a moment to pray and remember Jesus' death and remember Jesus' resurrection and take communion together. Some of you guys have been doing that during this whole process. Some of you guys have maybe not had the opportunity, and this is a great chance to really have a special moment as a family. Even if it's just you and a friend or you and your spouse, take a moment to really reflect back on the sermon. Maybe you have a whole conversation about what God has been teaching you in this process and on Sunday morning, and have a chance to remember the Lord's sacrifice and His resurrection. Great way to make the most of the situation. And I love this season because it's forcing us to do things differently. And sometimes that really helps us get out of a rut. And so wanted to let you guys know about that. Linda, good to see you. Amanda, awesome to see you. A great question, Sheila. When's E-Town going to start the 3 services? Well, that was the plan right before all this happened. We were going to go to 3 services. And now we have no idea. We are taking it 1 week at a time and seeing what the Lord does. So I would not be surprised if we get back into that conversation again real soon. But right now, we're just taking it one step at a time, seeing how Sunday goes, and we'll keep you guys posted for sure. But great question. Robin, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Man, we got a ton of people on tonight, and real excited about that. Let's see, what else do we have tonight? One of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about is this thing that's happening every time I get to see somebody I haven't seen in a while. There's been people I haven't seen in months at this point, and we'll run into each other at the bank or the grocery store, or maybe they've swung by the church for some reason, and everybody's doing the same thing. They go, "Hey, how's it been for you?" And I think we all kind of fall into the same temptation. Do we really get into what it's been like, or do we go, "Yeah, kind of the same, everybody else, I'm hanging in there"? I've heard a lot of hanging in theirs. But I know for me, in the last 3 months, God has been teaching and working on me, and this is a great opportunity to run into a friend or a neighbor, and they say, "Hey, how's it going?" And you have a chance to really share, "Well, you know what? This is what God's been teaching me." I talked to somebody today on the phone for about an hour, and she actually went to a church that I used to work at a long time ago, and she'd had a question, and we got a chance to catch up and connect. And I said, "Well, what's God been teaching you?" And man, she just opened up. And God had really been pushing her in her job. She's a counselor, and she deals with trauma victims. In fact, she actually works with a lot of police officers who've gone through some pretty traumatic events. And she started to talk about how God was teaching her about that verse that says that perfect love drives out fear. And she was trying to figure out, okay, what does that really mean? And how can I connect that with people who've experienced some real significant fear in their life? It's funny, God has sort of been teaching me the same thing. I asked my son Carter if I could share this story, and so he's at home watching right now. So, buddy, thanks so much. He also wanted to let you guys know that if for some reason Kyle couldn't preach this weekend, he was totally ready to preach, ready to get on stage in front of everybody. So if we need a backup, Carter is ready and prepared. But this week we were driving home, and it had been raining all day. And Carter grew up most of his life in California, so he never saw thunderstorms or lightning as a little kid. And so that's been a new experience since we moved back. And every once in a while, it gets him a little rattled. And so we're driving home, and thunder's starting, lightning's starting, and you can see he's starting to ask a lot of questions and get a little nervous. And what would happen if it hit a tree? What would happen if lightning hit the car? What would happen if lightning hit the road? His mind's kind of racing. So I'm answering as many questions as possible. And then it kind of dawns on me, I used to have this podcast called Stuff You Should Know, and they did an episode on lightning. I said, "Buddy, you want to listen to that?" He said, "Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure." And so we dive into this podcast. Now, I'm totally nerding out. It's tons of science and all these details that you can never imagine about how complex lightning is and storms. My wife, on the other hand, completely bored out of her mind, about to fall asleep. So her and Ava are conked out. Me and Carter are dialed in. And the longer the podcast went on, I could tell that Carter's demeanor was starting to change. And before we knew it, he was in full-out panic mode. The fear had taken over, and he was certain that our family was at major risk, and we were driving right into the head of the storm. And so we tried to calm him down, and we said things like, "Carter, do you remember when we got in the car tonight? It had just rained, and we looked out the window, and we saw this incredible double rainbow." Some of you guys saw that. I saw your post on Facebook. It was beautiful. And we said, "Bud, we would never seen that if we hadn't seen the storm." That God was showing us this promise He made to Noah. And I said, "You remember the promise, right?" And he said, "Yeah, God's never going to flood the earth again." I said, "Bud, we wouldn't have remembered that tonight unless there was a storm." And he's still upset, but that's starting to sink in. And I don't know if your kids do this. When you drive down the highway and you have those cliffs on the side, those rocks on the side, and it starts to rain, and it creates those little waterfalls. Carter loves these things. And so every time we drive by, Dad, there's a waterfall. Dad, there's a waterfall. Meanwhile, I don't get to see any. I'm just driving down 65 trying to keep my family safe. And he's in awe of all that's happening around him. I said, Bud, look at the waterfalls. There's no waterfalls without a storm. And he says, yeah, that's right. And I said, Bud, look at the lightning. It's hotter than the sun. This is incredible. I mean, look how beautiful it is and how complex and how powerful God is. Well, I'm not saying that I'm the best dad in the world or that anything me and my wife said really fixed anything. What I really think happened is that the Holy Spirit started working on his little heart. And by the time we got home and we pulled into our driveway, Carter was praying to God going, more lightning. I want you to light up the whole sky. I want to see 1,000 lightning bolts. And I just thought, wow. That's the right response to fear. That we would actually look at God and remember his promises. That we would remember he's in control. That we would remember his power and his love and his compassion for us. And when I laid my head on the pillow that night, God had a little conversation with me and said, Justin, there's some things that get your anxiety a little high. There's some moments that you start to get a little worried and fearful, but you don't turn to me. Well, that is what God has been teaching me and teaching my family the last couple of weeks. And the question is what's he teaching you? And so Sunday, when you come to church, you're going to run into some people you haven't seen in a long time, and they're going to say, hey, man, how's it been? And you have a chance to go, oh, it's been good. Or you have a chance to share a little bit about what God's doing. Now, the Bible encourages us to spur one another on, to encourage one another. And this is a perfect moment for us as a church to do just that. To really build one another up, to draw each other back to Christ, to encourage one another to keep the faith, to endure, to persevere. And don't miss that opportunity. Now, we're going to ask you, the turnaround time in between our services is tight. We actually have to clean the entire sanctuary between the first service and second service. So when we come to service, as soon as first service is over, we're going to dismiss you guys by rows and have you exit out of the building as quickly as possible so we can get the next group in and seated and the whole room cleaned. And so have an awesome conversation, but have it in the parking lot on the way to your car. Have it as a family and meet somebody at Panera for lunch. But don't miss this opportunity to be the church. And so, man, I want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. We're super excited. I'm just checking the chat really quick to see what's going on. If you've got a prayer request and there's something going on in your life that you would really like the staff to pray for, a lot of our staff is hanging out. Chris Garrett just jumped on. And so if there's things that you would like somebody to pray for, post it in the chat. We would love, love, love to pray for you. And so that's a great opportunity. In fact, every Wednesday we post a post on our Facebook page asking for prayer requests, and every single one of those gets prayed over. And so we would love to pray for you guys. Michael, buddy, if you're not on the beach right now, you're in trouble. So I hope you're hanging out with your friend. I love that our campus pastor on his vacation is tuning into Family Gathering. That just tells you how much he cares about you guys as a family and loves being a part of this. So Michael, good to see you, but go back to the beach. Hey guys, I just want to thank you for joining us at Family Gathering. We are so excited to see you Sunday morning, 9:30, 11:15, right here in person. Come join us or worship with us online. Can't wait to see you then. Y'all have a great